So breathing. Why is breathing so important?
Yeah, what a huge topic.
Right, I know.
So the way that I usually start with people is I like to remind them that you take about 15 to 20,000 breaths per day. And when you really pause to think about it, breathing is that one thing that you cannot live for more than a few moments without. And so I think because it's happening during the day so automatically and involuntarily, we take it for granted. We don't think about it. We just assume that it's working exactly the way it should be working because no one ever trained us to have to pay attention to it, to have awareness around it. But I always say to people, this is the thing that you're doing more during the day than any other thing that you will do during the day. This is one of your longest standing habits. So especially for your audience where they might be experiencing specific health challenges, and we're looking to get more to the root cause of things as opposed to just chasing symptoms, it's nice to consider, okay, this thing that I do 20,000 times per day, could there be some dysfunctional element to it that is really, if not the root cause of my health profile, of my health symptoms, could this be contributing in some kind of negative way? And to some degree, I'm very big on food healing, nutrition, but because we do this breathing thing so much, and because it's outside of our conscious awareness so often during the day, I actually think it's much more important even than what you are eating and what you are drinking during the day. I really think the breath is super powerful and in terms of how it affects our health.
Now, how do we become aware? Like whenever I talk to somebody about breathing, right away I go, okay, take a deep breath. Because I know when we're anxious, right? We just breathe from up here. We rarely take those slow belly breaths. So how do we become aware of that?
Yeah. I think there's a few key points that you can kind of scan through in your body, even while your audience is listening right now. Maybe I can talk them through a couple key points to just look for, and then we can talk about how to implement that breath awareness during the day. So I like to start up in the nose, okay? The nose and the mouth. So as you're sitting here listening to this interview, are you breathing through your nose or through your mouth? So some of us, our mouth is hanging open during the day, and mouth breathing tends to activate more of a stress response in the body, which is something we would like to get away from, right? We need more practice relaxing, down regulating, getting into rest and recovery. So number one is, are you breathing through your nose or through your mouth? Now, as we are focusing on the face, can you have your lips gently closed, but can you make sure that there's no tension in the jaw? Can you release the teeth? Can you release any tension through the face? Can you create some space between the eyebrows? Taking a relaxed posture through all that facial musculature. And now feel a little bit more deeply as you're breathing, hopefully in and out through your nose. Where do you feel that breath going in your body? What is the depth of that breath? Does it feel like it's stuck in your upper chest? Or do you really feel like, oh, my lower ribs are really expanding out and in? Or maybe you feel that your belly is really expanding out and in. So we're looking to deepen the breath, to really pull it into the body to create better gas exchange and oxygen uptake. And then besides nasal breathing and the depth of our breath, what is the speed of your breathing? Are you breathing very quickly, or are you breathing nice and slow? So slow breathing is beneficial because, again, it activates more of this rest and recovery nervous system. It also creates better gas exchange and oxygen uptake for the body, which is going to be essential for optimal health. I think those are the three basics. And so what I ask my clients all the time, the first week I work with them, I say, don't work on anything else but breath awareness this week. And that means while you're sitting at your computer, hunched over, typing those emails furiously, or looking through Instagram or whatever you're doing, can you just pause for a moment and say, okay, what is my breathing doing right now? Can I do these activities and still keep some awareness of my breathing? Can I still keep it nasal? Can I still keep it slow? Can I still keep it deep? And this would go for all of your daily activities. How are you breathing while you're driving to work, while you're food shopping, while you're interacting with your loved ones, while you're sleeping, while you're exercising? All of these things, and really just starting to pay more attention, because nothing changes or improves unless we have some awareness of it. So awareness is always going to be that first step. And that just means taking more active pauses during the day to notice what's actually happening in the body.
Good, very good. Maybe setting a little timer on your phone for, 3-4 times during the day, just as a reminder, hey, how are you breathing?
Yes, 100%. It's a great idea. Mm-hmm.
Now, how is our breathing tied to our nerve system, and how do they interact together?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the biggest golden nugget to understand about breathing and really what drives this connection to optimal health. So your breathing is happening on a subconscious level, right? It's happening automatically. But the beautiful part about our breathing is that we can take active control of it. And so what does that allow us to do? As I'm training my clients and my students, I always am saying, as we're training your breathing, what we're really doing is nervous system conditioning. Okay. So what is the connection between the breathing and the nervous system? When you have dysfunctional breathing, when you're breathing a lot through the open mouth, upper chest, fast breathing, shallow breathing, this is directly sending a signal to your brain to activate a fight or flight response, right? This fast breathing from an evolutionary standpoint is something that would only be happening if we were running for our lives, or maybe on a serious hunt, or maybe if we were diseased or very sick, fighting off an infection. But that breathing is not restful, healthy breathing, right? So it sends this signal to our brain, up. There's something to fight from. There's something to defend against. There's something to hide from or run away from. That's the signal that it's sending to our brain. Now, on the other hand, if we can tap into our breathing, deepen it, slow it down, this really full, deep, slow diaphragmatic breathing is connected more to a parasympathetic response in the body, right? So it really sends that signal of safety to the brain. I'm able to breathe this way because nothing is chasing me. There's nothing to run away from. There's nothing to be afraid of. I can actually take the time to digest my food, to get a good night's sleep. That's why we call it the rest and digest mode. It really encourages these down-regulated activities. And so what's interesting is that this is happening all day without us really taking conscious awareness of it. So every thought you have, every emotion you have, every feeling or judgment or perception, interpretation of a situation is sparking some kind of physiological response in your body, right? Every emotion we have creates either a stress response or a relaxation response. So if you could imagine a time when you're anxious, you have an anxious thought, one of the first things that gets affected, and I think you already mentioned this earlier, Dr. V, is the breathing either tends to stop completely, right? We hold our breath, or it gets really shallow and fast, panicky. You're starting to go into panic mode. And so now what started as a thought, what started as a mental preoccupation has now affected the breath, which is now creating a full cascade of physiological responses throughout the body, causing a stress response, causing panic. And more importantly, it's shaping your perception of the world around you. You see the people around you as unsafe, as more of a threat. You see the environment around you as unsafe, as more of a threat. And it keeps driving your nervous system to stay stuck in that stress response. But now if you're stuck there and you've been practicing conscious breathing techniques and you have the awareness, you're pausing and you're saying, wow, I'm breathing really fast right now. My heart rate is really accelerated. I don't feel safe. And you take the time to say, okay, I've been practicing slowing down my breathing. Let me try it right now. And you consciously start to slow down and deepen the breath in that particular situation. You're sending that signal to your brain. Okay, this is not as bad as we thought it was. Let's take a pause. Let's reinvestigate the environment around us. And as you start to slow down the breath and you start to activate more of a parasympathetic response, suddenly, maybe these people around you do not seem as threatening as they once did. Maybe this environment around you seems safer than it once did. And so what's powerful to me about the breathing is, in this particular case, nothing in my environment even changed, but I was able to change my internal environment. And that changed my whole perception of the reality around me. And more importantly, what I'm capable of, how I'm capable of acting in the world, right? I think this is really relevant to your audience in terms of how we deal with our disease, our labels, our profile, our prognosis, the pathology. How are we interpreting that information? And how is that driving our nervous system? And so I love that you call this wellness warriors and that you talk about conquering breast cancer. I know that you chose those words with a lot of intention, because what do those words do? They put the person, the individual, in the driver's seat, right? They shape the mindset to say, I am in control of this. I am in control of my own healing process. No one else gets to tell me what's going on in my body. I can take action here. I'm not helpless. I'm not reliant on some external force to come save me. I can do it. And so I think that's so important, because again, those thoughts, that mindset, that kind of emotional setting that you set for yourself, again, bringing that nervous system into a space where it can start to activate those self-healing mechanisms in the body. I think at the end of the day, that's what all holistic practitioners are after, right? It's not about healing our clients. It's about setting the environment for the individual, framing it, creating a safe space, creating a secure space where their body finally feels comfortable enough to relax and get into that space where they can release these positive immune responses in their own body and really create a positive health change.
Absolutely. And, you know, when we slow down our breathing, we slow down our thoughts, and we, you know, we can be much more sensitive and intuitive to what our body's going through and to decisions that we need to make. Because if we're trying to make decisions and you know, think about what our next steps are, if we're frantic and we're, you know, in that fight or flight mode, you know, we're not going to think clearly, and we're not going to make, you know, very good decisions.
100%.